Can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can, Andrew.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So like I said, you've given us 1.5 hours of your precious time, and we promise you that in these 1.5 hours and over the coming month, we're going to give you some information that is life-changing. It's going to change your life mentally, it's going to change your life physically, and it's going to change your life spiritually. Because we as a team, we believe that healthy people, healthy, happy people go into healthy, happy homes. And healthy, happy homes make healthy, happy communities. Now, tonight, we've got 2 special guests with us. Everyone's special that's on the call at the moment. But we have 2 special guests with us, all the way from the Caribbean. Mr. James Luke and Dr. Natalie Nash. They will be our presenters for this evening. But before I hand over to them, I just want to go through a little bit of a Zoom housekeeping. So while the presenters are presenting, we'd like to make sure and ensure that everybody is as best as possible muted, because we want to make sure that the meeting is pleasant for all our listeners. There are a number of people on the call. If you look in your participants list, there are a number of people with FR after their names. We're here to help you. If you have a comment, if you have a question, something specific that you don't want everyone else to see or hear, then send a private message to those people that you can see have FR after their names, and we will do our best to respond to you. If, however, you want to show your appreciation to the people, to Dr. Natalie Nash and James Luke, then please do type it in the chat so everyone can see. This is a somewhat interactive forum. We want everyone to be benefited by what's taking place. And finally, before I hand over to our presenters for the evening, my name is Andre Crawford. I'm part of the Healthy Communities team. And we're just so excited to have you here. So please enjoy the rest of our evening. Brother Luke and Dr. Nash, are you here?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes,
Excellent, excellent, excellent. We're so glad that you could join us this evening. We're excited to hear what you've got to share with us. So the time is over to yourselves, and I'll see everyone later at the end of the program.
Okay, all right. Very good. And good afternoon, everyone. And we're so excited to be here with you in this program, and that the Manchester District is putting on, and looking at the master plan for health communities. So many plans are going on these days and being formulated, but it's always good when we can pause and stop and look at what is the master's plan for our lives, so that we're able to chart through this world fairly well. We have a fun-packed week for you. In fact, we're looking at lifestyle diseases and how that can impact the communities, the homes and the communities at large. And ideally, it starts off when individuals are very tiny, small babies, all the way to when they grow up. And that is the lifespan that we're typically looking at, and what can be done to make changes for better health. So we're going to be looking at some of the non-communicable diseases, such as the diabetes, the high blood pressure, the cholesterol, and also looking at the big topic of the one that is infectious and around us now, the COVID-19. And how does that play a part in our lives, and how does the non-communicable diseases impact the body, so that, whether it makes us more susceptible or not to contracting COVID-19. We will spend a large portion of the time towards, say, later part of the week, looking at COVID-19, what exactly it is, and how we can address it from a natural remedy perspective, what you can do in your home from the earlies to address it so that you do not get this, and how you can actually build and boost your immune system. So those are some of the things that we're going to be covering. So I trust that you would have a blessed time with us. We will make room for questions. So do jot your questions down, write them in the chat so we can address them as we go through. So I'll be your presenter this afternoon, and later on, Brother Luke, he's going to come through and do some presentations as well. So we'd just like to share the screen with you as we go. Okay, so as soon as I'm able to do that, I'll share the screen presentation where you would be able to get some notes and information. I think I need the co-host. Yeah, excellent. Okay, so there we are. Great. So we are going to go into this topic, and it's looking at COVID-19. This is the theme, the power of lifestyle. And today we're very much looking into the lifestyles that would make or break diseases. So let's continue. So we're looking at disease, the cause, prevention, and remedy. So when we think about disease, it does not just come by chance, but it is, one that we can have control over. And as we do all that we can do when it comes to diseases, then we leave the rest all up to the body to take care of itself and to our Creator to help us as we seek to maintain health. But what are some of the causes and what are preventative measures that we can take and the remedies? So our focus this evening is on looking at remedies, the lifestyle. And in our next presentation, we'd look at the diet. What you find is that as you look at the data, well, we are very much focused and concerned about COVID-19 these days. And as you look at the data, with the COVID-19 cases, we see that all around the world, a number of people are contracting this virus, and the numbers just fluctuate. They're up and down on the lows, but it's not stabilizing for us. And the story remains the same, no matter where in the world we are at. When it comes to those who are severely impacted by COVID, unfortunately, dying from it, again, the numbers have risen over time, and they seem to, to keep as you tally the numbers, it's pretty steep. And so it is a concern for all of us around the world, no matter where we live. Interestingly, as you dig deep into the statistics, you look for those where you see that they are hospitalized, you're able to grab a hold of the individuals and put some data down. Right at those who are hospitalized, you would see here listed some common disease conditions that individuals have among those who are hospitalized. And as you look through from asthma, autoimmune conditions, cardiovascular disease, all right, and let's look for these. And the blue ones represent adults. Okay, the light blue is for children. So cardiovascular disease, number one, cause of concern. Hypertension is also another cause for concern. Metabolic diseases, all right, and this is where you look at, the diabetes put together with the cardiovascular and so forth. Any condition that you're looking at, these metabolic conditions, obesity, all of these things are on the higher factors. So any great inflammation in the system captured here. And so these factors are key concerns. Individuals are coming in, they're being hospitalized for COVID, and they have these underlying conditions. Could we actually help to get those numbers down? Why are they getting so severely sick that they are landing in the hospitals? And, that's not infectious condition, COVID is, but what's non-communicable, it's the high blood pressure, is that heart condition that individuals have been living with for quite some time. What is it among these that are common also that will impact the individual's lives so that they're contracting COVID? And so just as we are bringing remedies to you for what you can do to prevent contracting COVID, or if you do get it, what you can do to remedy, so too we have remedies for these conditions. I want to let you know that they are lifestyle conditions, lifestyle diseases, and they are 100% reversible. So let's have another look. If where in the chart can we find ourselves? And this, it goes both ways, where you have lifestyle and genetics, they equal to chronic health improvement. So, so you can have the changes you want to get to improvement. And this is where we want to. Sometimes it's the other way around, that you're here, and because of the lifestyle, the genetics, the environment, you go to the other side. But then the same way in which this arrow could be flipped up and you go to this way, coming from green all the way to red. Similarly, being in the red, you can make changes to your lifestyle, to your environment, food being included in that diet, and work your way down to improved life, improved body, improved health. And this is where we want to help you get to. And it is not difficult. It is something quite simple, and what you can get involved in. And I encourage you to really have a notebook this week, because a lot of information is going to be shared with you, so that as you jot down your notes, you would be able to correct these conditions. So we are going to show that with nutrition and with environment, and when we talk about environment, that is looking at the lifestyle factors that we will talk about today, including drug medication that has side effects, and that combined, just being thrown into the body can cause disease or can trigger inflammation in the body, can trigger poor health outcomes. But that's not what we want. We want to be able to narrow the band. You see how wide here is? No, let us narrow it down and come down to getting it clear and bringing everything into our control. By the time it gets here, it's because you're able to control it. Your hand could go around here easily than around some wide spacing like this, yeah? So by the time it comes down to here, you have control and you're making the decisions of your life and not letting life just take over you. So the outcome is wellness that we would be looking at. Another way to put this across is to think of a tree. And if we have a blue tree that breeds and grows certain kinds of fruits, and it depends on the makeup of what this tree is made up of, that will actually indicate the kind of fruit that will come from it. And are these fruits that we are picking today out of our lives? Is it that you have heart disease conditions where you have heart palpitation, you have congested heart failure, you have an enlarged heart, Is it that, you have high cholesterol, high triglyceride levels, and you're reading the notes from the physician that tells you you got to be on medication for the rest of your life? Could it be that you have suffered a stroke or a heart attack? It's the same common cause between a stroke is what I call a brain attack. And in the heart, you get a heart attack, the same common cause. And obesity, putting on that excess weight, and the diabetes, the arthritis, the pains in the joints that comes around. And it must be a weather thing, you would say. It's the weather, it's too cold. But no, could it be an old age thing, as we're getting up into years? But no, it can be changed for us. That narrative needs to be changing. The hypertension, asthma, constipation, memory loss is not about getting senior moments. We could have that mind, remembering things for a very long time. And acid reflux, indigestion. What about thyroid-related Hashimoto's, hyperthyroidism? All of these are fruits from a tree where with the diet, the lifestyle, the education, the environment, the medication, that it does not work well in our system. It's foreign to the body. And our body is really fighting to see a change and come about in order that this tree changes. It's soon going to be fall, and we're there, right? And you're seeing the changes in the trees right now. And so it responds to nature. Similarly, in our lives, it responds to that environment. And as we make changes, the colors of our tree can change, and the products, the fruits coming out of it can change. And that's why we want to take you today. So when you hear about disease, you go to the physician and they run some blood work on you. You may be excited or anxious or nervous as to what the report would come back to say. It's simply taking a check. It's simply taking a peek, looking inside and analyzing your blood or your urine samples or some tissue sample to come back with a message to tell you what is going on the inside. But then it's also reflective about how you feel. You may have aches and pains and you may not feel well. So that drives you to go to the doctor to get checked and to see what's causing this. So the result may come back, disease is here. Understand it is nature's effort to free your body system, your circulatory system, your lymphatic system, your endocrine system. It's trying to free that system from these conditions that are around us, the lifestyle, the environment, that they are violating the laws of health that governs our human body. So we have laws in nature. You can see sunrise and know it is daytime because the sky lights up. You can know it is nighttime because the sky lights up, but with a different light. It's stars and the moon and it's dark. And so every day it comes about, the cycles of the day. And so in our bodies, we go through cycles as well. But in our bodies, what governs and what drives are nature's laws, health laws. And so our heart keeps beating without us doing anything to remember to turn on a switch or not. It keeps beating. And we want to move our feet to walk, and just telling yourself, I am going there. You get to that point. Your feet takes you across. So the body just works well, but when we make violations, when we have systems that don't function well because it's been assaulted, been infused with certain things that are unnatural, then we feel the pains and the aches from it. Then what are these laws of health that we are talking about? They are air, pure air. It's important for us to have pure air, not just air. We need to breathe every day. The sunlight, the human being needs sunlight, and it's just like a seed that would grow that tree. If you stifle it and it does not get air and sunlight and water, it would not grow. Think about your peas and your beans in your cupboard, kitchen cupboard right now. It's there, it's dried, it's fine. You can cook it and eat it, but if you were to take it and put it in a cup and give it some light, you give it some air, you give it some sunlight, you put it in a soil even, or you can just put it in a cup with moisture, it can sprout and burst up into a sprout and make a seedling. You dig it and put it into the dirt, and the environment now is conducive to making that same seed grow within 72 hours, whereas in the cupboard, it's been there for months. All right, so the environment needs to be appropriate for us to enjoy good health. We're talking about air, about sunlight, about temperance. So abstemiousness, break word for temperance. We're looking at rest. It is important for us to get rest, exercise, proper diet, the use of water, trust in divine power. And these are remedies that we are counting on for good health. So let's quickly look at some air and what we can do to get this good quality air. Here's what I want to show you. We talked about that blue tree that would give poor results. Let me just show you this. Here is where we are going to. We want to change that tree to the color of red. And that is what we are looking at, changing the diet, changing the lifestyle and environmental factors in order to get some better outcomes. Health is like key. This one, it's big for us. But that also means not having the disease condition, not having the aches and pains, having more energy, being joyful and cheerful in our mind, having peace of mind, no stress, and even having memory, good memory. And so that is where we want to get to. So how are we getting on to that point? It takes us here for the start. So you see the tree is no longer blue. We have it as red. And understand that as we're talking about pure air, the opposite of this is impure air, air that is polluted that would make us sick. So we want to keep on the positives, but know that if we're not maintaining the positives, we can have problems. Okay. So we want to breathe deep, and you may have heard, get some fresh air, like after the rain has fallen, in the early morning, after a thunderstorm, by the seaside, in the countryside. Those are areas where we can get lots of clean, fresh air, and we breathe deep. Here is a big point. The windows and the doors of our home that we like to keep closed in because of the AC is on or it's winter time. Well, then we need to open them up. So we need to open up our windows, open up the doors, and let new air come into the home. As the new air comes in, it changes out this stale air, gets outside, and the new fresh air comes in. And what we're sharing here this afternoon and through the rest of the course of this program, these are practical things that we're sharing that anyone can do anywhere in the world, wherever they're at. So open the doors, open the windows, every day and change out the air. And if you don't believe this, there's some homes where a plant cannot grow. It's because the air quality on the inside is so poor that the plant cannot even get sufficient oxygen. Furthermore, for you, so as you open up the windows and the door, oxygen comes in. And then what you can do now is to sleep with your window opened, even if it is at least 1 inch. So at least 1 inch, if we sleep with that window open, we would be able to get some fresh air into the rooms, especially a sleeping room. What does that help us do? It helps us to continuously breathe in oxygen. Oxygenated blood will take nutrients to our cells, energizing our cells, giving energy to the cells, growing healthy tissues. And then it also helps to give us sound, refreshing sleep. That cool air coming in the evening and into the night. So if you can open your window, even if it is winter time and it's a window in your room, at least 1 inch, cover up. That's what the covers are for. Put on socks on your feet. That's what it's for, to keep us warm, but let your nostrils be breathing in that pure, fresh air. Now, another point is to keep plants in the home. So the green plants, like evergreen, peace lily plants, they're quite common around. Go to a plant shop and those house plants, they can be kept in your home to keep the air purified. They actually take out toxins onto themselves and give you oxygen. And empty the garbage of your home. And I know out there in the UK, you have division of your waste. So just as the city would encourage you to put away the organic matter in one bin, and then the paper and so forth in another, or plastics in another bin. Similarly, that kind of principle is one which will help us to have better hygienic environment that would give us good health. So it is not by chance that those laws are put into place or encouraged. As we practice them, it would help us to keep our environment healthy. So getting it out of the home, particularly in the late evening, so that it does not remain still in the kitchen, it's better to put it out at night. Cleaning up the backyards and the front pots, walkways, and so forth, keeping that clean is good to keep our environment clean. And also spending lots of time outdoors. Now coming out of summertime, getting into the fall, it's still, lovely on the outside, and you're able to get advantage of such weather conditions now while they last. Spending that time out in the park and walking out there helps to de-stress the body. So one of the things that can keep us in poor health is stress. When the mind is too busy and stressed and worried and fretful and anxious and depressed states, so that mind needs to get good care. And so spending the time outdoors, taking those walks in the parkway and so forth. And just even as you go through the park, you'd see scenes like these with the trees and the flowers blooming in the seasonal times, and we're able to get such benefits. Now, it is important also that if one has COVID, that they look at the air quality around them. So we will share with you certain things that you can do. Number one, it's definitely making sure that the sick room has good fresh air coming out. and in its environment, and you change out that air daily, getting fresh air in the sick room, as well as the air in the room. You can have plants, but you can also have a diffuser with essential oils of peppermint, essential oils of oregano. So like, for example, you have a diffuser and you put 3 drops of peppermint, 3 drops of eucalyptus oil. You can add oregano oil to that, 5 drops of oregano oil, and you can use that to vaporize and to allow that diffuser to let those aromas out into the room where the sick with the COVID is at. And that can help to purify that air, to help them to be able to breathe better as they inhale those items. So that's one of the air manipulations that you can do, especially for this time with the COVID. So another big issue is sunlight. And you would have probably been to your doctor, and the doctor might have said, I am sunlight deficient. Now, sunlight has a huge impact on individuals and their lives. You find individuals who are vitamin D deficient, they are more susceptible to having high blood pressure. Individuals who do not go out into the sun can have high blood pressure, and they're more susceptible to maintaining that, among other things. What happens is that as you step out into the sunlight, and being someone who have high blood pressure, you are able to benefit from a compound that is triggered in the inner lining of your blood vessels, of your arteries, called nitric oxide. You have it in a pill called L-arginine. And that actually helps to relax and open up the blood vessels, open up the arteries, allowing the blood to flow through easily. Sunlight can help you to get that. So if you spend time out in the sun between the hours of 9 a.m. and 3 p.m., we find that individuals would be less likely to get vitamin D deficiency. Vitamin D deficiency is huge. Hay fever, it's very common in the UK and its environs. And we have seen repeatedly where everybody who would come through with hay fever, as we interviewed them when we were there in the UK, they were all not getting adequate amount of sunlight. And if they knew their numbers, they were vitamin D deficient. So allergies, asthma, those are related to vitamin D deficiency. And so your doctor would be interested in helping you to optimize that. So one time we met this gentleman and he said, I am vitamin D deficient, and he was from Ghana. And so we said, okay, so what are you doing about it? He said, well, nothing much. You know, my doctor gave me some medication, some supplements for it, but do you take it? He said, no. And we're like, okay, but he was not just vitamin D deficient, he was chronically vitamin D deficient. But not having the understanding about the importance of vitamin D, and he did have high blood sugar levels, diabetes numbers were high, not understanding the importance of it, he just paid no mind to use the supplements. So if you are tested, and it's not difficult to get a test, and it might be part of your routine blood work, but if you're tested and check your vitamin D level, and it should be anywhere like 55 to 70 nanograms and above, and you will now look to see that figure come down, go up. You want to see that figure go up, your vitamin D status to be improved. And so spending time out in the sun is important, but you will need to supplement. So supplementation is also important. You find that women who are vitamin D deficient, that they have a 95% risk of getting fibroid disease. Fibroids. If you are vitamin D deficient, you have an 85% risk of having hormonal imbalance. A woman who are vitamin D deficient have a 600% risk of getting breast cancer. And our men have a 253% risk of getting prostate cancer when they are vitamin D deficient. So it is important for everyone, boy, man, woman, girl, to improve their vitamin D status. How does it happen? The sunlight would do. But the thing is, in the UK, because of where you live, you see how high up above you are from the equator, high up. And so the higher you are, the sunlight quality is not as much as if it is you were lower down, closer down here. And and in being further away from the equator, the UVB rays, it is less. That's why summer, the sun stays out longer. You have a greater window of opportunity to get vitamin D. And that's why people would lay on the lawn and soak it up to get that sunlight to make vitamin D, actually. So the higher you are away from the equator, you need to supplement. And it's very many times not an option to supplement to get your levels good. And I'll tell you why. So for the disease conditions I just mentioned, but also to know that you need adequate amount of sunlight. So for just to as a heads up, for the dark-skinned individuals, the darker you are, the more sunlight exposure you need so that you would be able to get that sunlight and make vitamin D in your body. The more exposure will help that sunlight to penetrate your skin. Our darker skinned folks, you have a natural sunscreen, we all do. And so we need to spend a little bit more time out into the sunlight. And you really want to see where your UVB rays is, so you can search it online to see the UVB, not just the index, but the time frame that it would be available. And that is when you expose your body to that sunlight, and it would be sufficient, the right quality of sunlight to help you to make vitamin D. So the darker we are, we need from 45 minutes to an hour and a half of that time frame. I remember being in the UK one time, 3 years ago, 2019, and it was, and at that time, it said in the month of September. And in September, there was this window of an opportunity of, say, 2 hours. So in just 2 hours time frame, in the midst of the day was when the UVB rays of the sun and the angle of the sun itself would have been above 30 degrees in the sky. And it's in that time when the sun is up 30 degrees and above, you know, it's not hanging low, it's above like 30 degrees up. It's when from that time you can make vitamin D. But on that particular day, I measured just 2 hours, you know, and it was like between, say, 11 to 1 p.m. So if perchance you were indoors between 11 and 1 p.m., you were not going to get that opportunity to get that quality of sunlight so that you could make vitamin D. So it's that crucial. So if you missed it, that's it. You're seeing the sun, but it's not the sufficient quality type to help you to make vitamin D. And the lighter skinned individuals can go anywhere from 7.5 minutes to 15 to 30, again, degrees built on your skin type, also with the amount of melanin you have in your skin. So some can be just from as low as 7.5 minutes, because the time they stay out there, they get red really quick. And another thing to bear in mind is avoid burning in the sunlight. You do not want your skin to burn. You don't want to get sunburn. You want to get light, but not to the sunburn state, because then you make your skin go bad. So we find some people are at risk if you have poor gut health. So you have things like leaky gut, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, small intestinal fungal overgrowth that can impact us. If you are elderly, you find these conditions put us at risk for vitamin D deficiency, because we're challenged for making it adequately in our body. Individuals who have liver dysfunction, your liver is not working well, your kidneys is not working well, you would be at risk for vitamin D deficiency, because you are actually required to have your liver and your kidneys to work well to change that sunlight hormone signaling, to change that mechanism into vitamin D, a form that the body can use. So if your organs are not working well, liver, kidneys, you have problems. The elderly, individuals who are over 70 years, they may suffer from vitamin D deficiency, because they would be absorbing quite less. Only 25% of the sunlight that they're getting, they would be able to absorb that light, which triggers a hormone right under the skin. Hormones are messengers. It goes to the liver, to the kidneys, to be converted into vitamin D, a form that the body, and every cell in the body needs vitamin D. That's why it's so hugely important. Every single cell, from the top of your head to the sole of your feet, every single cell has a receptor for vitamin D. It needs it, just like it needs water and it needs sodium. Every cell needs oxygen. It needs vitamin D as well. So in order for us to be healthy, we need that. So the elderly would need to supplement those over 70. If you have excess weight, then you will, the excess fat in the body grabs up vitamin D that you would be making. And so the rest of your body systems will not be getting it. So you would need to supplement. Certainly not spending sufficient time in that sunlight. If you're not getting enough time in the sunlight, then you would be at risk and you would need to supplement. Metabolic disorders, cardiovascular disease, leaky gut, diabetes, they put us at risk because the body, it's trying to get well. And when you have these conditions, there's a greater demand for vitamin D because your body system is compromised and it needs to clear away all this inflammation. Vitamin D is helpful in that. And when it comes to COVID-19, individuals who are deficient in vitamin D, they have an 80% risk of getting pneumonia. So they can get sick with the COVID, but they can get it severely that it can formulate into pneumonia, and they have an 80% risk. And they also find that having adequate stores of vitamin D in your blood, it can decrease, or if you don't have sufficient, it can increase bacteria and viruses and inflammation that would be triggered off in the system based on what you're facing. So if you face COVID, you find bacteria, it's multiplied, that inflammation is multiplied, and then you have issues. If we're vitamin D deficient, it increases the risk of all-cause diseases, of mortality, which is death. It also can cause even our white blood cells to be compromised. And then we find that individuals who tested positive for COVID, 77% of them were found to be vitamin D deficient. So there seems to be some correlation between individuals who are vitamin D deficient and contracting COVID. Vitamin D is also anti-inflammatory. So the more you have in your system, the less inflammation that you would have in the body. So it boosts our immune system. It helps to suppress a cytokine storm, meaning that you get adequate amount of white blood cells, not having to overload the body with too much. For respiratory infections, it helps tremendously with all respiratory infections, all right, not just COVID. So any flus and so forth in the system that you might be exposed to. So just thought of emphasizing the importance here a whole lot more. Let's see. This one is huge, that vitamin D, when it comes to viruses on a whole, way back in 2017 and earlier studies also showed that it helps us to build a strong innate and adaptive immune system. So that innate system which you have going with you all along, and a condition presents itself, you can quickly boost up an immune system to fight this. Vitamin D, if you have adequate amount of it, it can help to boost you up there. You also see where for the vaccine and even for the COVID, let me see if it helps to block virus replication once you have adequate amounts of vitamin D stored in the blood, and that's anywhere like 70 to 100 nanograms and above. So you want to be able to make sure you're supplemented well, you get that sunlight well. If you're in an area in the world where you can get sunlight, it's excellent. So it blocks the entry of viruses, and that is very important to us with the COVID. And as the virus presents itself from contracting human to human, or even if injected, we'd want to believe that it has an input there to prevent the connection between those viruses, even if it's a weak virus getting into the cells. So the replication, making more viruses, it helps to prevent that. So it is one that we use in our protocol for getting well and to help individuals with recovery utilizing vitamin D. So I'll encourage you today, if you do not have vitamin D as a supplement in your home, get one. Because on the days that you're unable to go outdoors or the sun is not out, which happens very much in the UK, that you are supplementing. Take the children out, they too also need vitamin D. So as we look at the other factor of our lifestyle here, we are looking at temperance, and there are certain things that as we ingest the caffeine, tea, coffees, these things can impact our body for good or better health. So we're not able to achieve better health when we're consuming caffeine related items. They can be quite challenging to our nervous system. So be it tea or coffee that you might be consuming, as long as caffeinated beverages, soft drink, pops, soda pops, and so forth, they tend to cause disruption in our cells. They can also interrupt the DNA of every cell in our body. Caffeine will do that. It constricts the blood vessels. So if you're someone with high blood pressure and you're drinking caffeine items, drinks, your blood vessels will be narrowed, and it could cause an elevation of blood in blood pressure. Chocolate does the same thing too. It is similar family to caffeine, to coffee. So chocolate would do the same. Chocolate has another substance in it called theobromine, and that will compromise the system. In fact, the caffeine and the chocolate tends to give women lumps in their breast. So they can have a lumpy breast. And if they would remove those items and stop using it, we find that it works well for them. Another thing is that it can trigger cancer of the bladder, and similarly, you know, having tobacco and alcohol, those are carcinogenic to the body, and removing those items from our environment, from our consumption or utilization is important if we want to achieve good health. Here are some pointers. You know, good health requires good digestion. So we want to chew the food thoroughly. So you can chew your food, take your time and chew. Don't eat and drink at the same time. So if you have a drink that you want to consume, when it is mealtime, you keep it until the mealtime. So it might be some grape juice. You keep it until the mealtime. And say your mealtime is between 12 and 1 noon. So at 12 o'clock, you have your grape juice. You will drink that. Leave 15 minutes spacing, because it would take like about 10 minutes for your stomach to absorb that liquid quickly. And then you come and you eat your food, your solid foods, and you're good. In this way, you will help to improve digestion. You will help to prevent, you know, indigestion of the food. You will help to gain the nutrients that you're eating your food. You want to be able to get the nutrients for energy, for servicing the needs of the body. So don't eat and drink at the same time. And here's what, when you finish eating, then 2 hours after you stop eating is when you would be able to drink but water this time. So water has no calories in it. It will not disrupt digestion of your food, and you will be able to drink water, but 2 hours after you stop eating. So if you have any liquids, it's 15 minutes before you begin to eat your solids in your mealtime, and 2 hours after you finish eating. And so space out your meals at least 5 hours apart. In between, you have water. You drink water mouthfuls at a time, but you space out your meals 5 hours. So if you ate, say your meal time is between 12 and 1, then after 1, you count 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, by 6 p.m., you can have your supper or dinner, as you may call it. But 6 p.m. is when you would eat again. Rest is hugely important to help with any of these conditions that we're talking about. It's important when it comes to lowering blood pressure, because if you go to bed after 10 p.m., the blood pressure will be elevated. You have more inflammation triggered in your body, and that is helping you to stay alert, but at the same time, it's breaking down your system. Your blood sugar will be elevated. And you find your allergies, individuals who go to bed very late in the night, 1, 12, you know, whatever it might be, they have more allergies as compared to if they went to sleep earlier. So sleep before 10 p.m. at night. And you gotta really discipline yourself for this, especially when the sun sets late, as in summertime, like 9:20, 9:30. So work with the clock, you know, and go to sleep by 10. Sleep in a cool room, so you get good rest and the temperature is consistent. Open your window at least an inch we talked about will help you to get good rest. Sleep in a dark room, no night light or light from a clock, an alarm clock or anything. Cover that down. You don't want any bright lights in your room when you're sleeping. You want your body to be at rest. Your skin can pick it up. So even if you put on an eye mask to block off, your skin can pick up the light in the room. And rest on the 7th day of the week. We find that the science is showing and the studies are showing that the human body is more relaxed. The heart beats slower. Everything is like slowed down on the 7th day of the week. People feel more tired and more in a restful mood. And what happens is that as that 7th day of rest, you find rejuvenation, repair takes place quicker. And there's a cycle of 7 days pattern in humans that improvement always takes place on the 7th day after a surgery and so forth. So if you do get rest on the 7th day of the week, you are more energized to face the coming week. Exercise is hugely important. This is we have another chart that actually shows better outcome for cardiovascular disease, better outcomes for high blood pressure, for diabetes, for cholesterol, better outcomes for obesity when individuals walk as compared to when they run. So when you walk is the better form, the best form of exercise for diseased bodies. In fact, if you were to strike the clock with 60 minutes of walking, it is phenomenal. It's like medicine. The system feels more energized. You're happier. Depression is lifted. Anxiety is lifted. Exercise and walking is one way to even get your gut microbiome flourishing with healthy, beneficial bacteria. That's how you exercise. And you find that you can eat all the good probiotics, but when it comes to if you had the probiotics, but you did not walk, it is not going to help you as well as if you did. So walking in itself is like a medicine. So get it one bout of walking, just one of it does benefit to your body for the next 24 hours. So imagine having it regularly and repeatedly is what we are looking for. You would lose weight so easily without losing the plate when you take that 1 hour of walk. So you can also find that as you walk out in the open air, you will be able to get that deep breathing that we talk about. And when you're diabetic, so anybody here who is a diabetic, if you walk for 1 continuous hour, immediately you reduce your need for 20 units of insulin. It's equivalent to that because it triggers insulin production in the system. But for a diabetic, when you go walking, you always hold a fruit in your hand. And so you would walk for that 1 hour. We have seen where it will help those numbers. So if you're diabetic, early morning, check your blood sugar level. And last thing before you go to bed at night, check your blood sugar level. If at night it's a little bit elevated, just walk in your front yard, in your veranda for 30 minutes, and you would see that number come down. Similarly, for those who have high blood pressure, monitor yourself and write it down in a book. And you would see just that 1 hour of walking every day at rightest sugar levels, blood pressure, your cholesterol, fatty deposits will be broken up. And your numbers will come down. You would be happy, your doctor would be happy to see better outcomes. So after each meal, just take a 15 minutes casual walk around after each meal, and you would be able to help with proper digestion of your food and keep that blood sugar level from spiking up too high after you eat. Proper diet, we will go more in depth into this in our next session. But for the moment, be prepared that we will talk about no flesh foods and the importance of not having flesh as part of our diet, the importance of having plants as predominantly the main source for getting all the nutrients that the body needs. And we will talk about why we should not use condiments like ketchup and mayonnaise and how that would impact our body. And then, you know, as we mentioned before, have nothing in between your meal times, but simply water is all that you need in your meal times. So we would look at that in our next presentation on the diet question, and also share some plates and what that looks like. So just looking at water, and it is important for us to drink lots of water. We want to be able to utilize water as a means for cleansing the tissues. In fact, it's like one of the best items that can be used. But again, having plain, and we say plain, pure water is important. What do we mean by plain water? You know, individuals tend to put cucumbers in the water or strawberries in the water. No, let's have it plain without those additives to it. We need to learn to appreciate plain water, and then it's going to help our system. So you want to drink water until the urine is pale yellow, drinking adequate amounts. When you intake water, it moves about the body. It helps to you know, to get the hormones to be driven where it should be. It helps to improve bowel movements, which is huge. A lot of folks are constipated today, and one of the key things is because they do not drink water. When you're constipated, when you don't have bowel movements to match the amount of meals that you're having, then you run into problems. So every time you move, you see, if you have adequate amounts of water, adequate amount of fiber in your diet, the water will help that fiber to bulk up. When you move your mouth, as in chewing your food, which is why we need to take our time in chewing our food, it has a connection with the bowels, and it stimulates the bowels for movement. And that's why chewing gum is not a good thing. You move your mouth in that way for chewing food, because the more food is coming, so the system gets and excretes what, you know, some, and excrete waste, and you get more food to come in. So the water helps with that. And as you have water, your brain needs water, all your organs, it's bathed in water solutions, and that would work well. We want to remove alkaline water from the diet, or consumption rather. So alkaline water tends to cause our skin to be dry, our internal organs and blood vessels to be more brittle. It can cause aches and pains in our joints, or it can cause aches and pains even in our intestines. We've encountered many individuals who've used alkaline water over time, and they have issues. And when you work with them and you change their water, they're able to have better bowel movements and not constipated. The head that had been, like in this particular case, this gentleman, for 6 months, he was dizzy headed, spinning head, not knowing what was the cause until he discovered it was the alkaline water that he was consuming. And all the blood work he did, nothing showed up anything, but it was right there in the water drinking. So you want to use like a water softener. You want your pH level in the water to be less than 7, 6, closer to 6 is where the pH in your water should be. In the morning, a good practice is 2 to 4 glasses of very warm water in the morning time. And as you do this, you will be able to have good bowel movement. So the warm water, so you're getting to the kettle, you're mixing your water, you're getting it very warm for you to consume. And as you drink it, it goes into your system and helps your colon to expand and again, bulking up the fiber, giving you a nice, good bowel movement very early in the morning, which is great. And then in between, in the morning, that warm water, you drink quickly, 2 to 4 glasses. See how many you can quickly drink. You can put lemon in it. So if you do put lemon, like a half of a lemon to an 8-ounce glass, you can do. If you have cholesterol, high blood cholesterol, you can use 1 whole lemon to an 8-ounce glass. I know some lemons in the UK, they're small, but they are also not very sour, and so you would be able to tolerate that. But if you can put the 1 whole lemon into the 4 glasses, that's okay. But one key thing, use a straw. So you put a straw to drink it in. You don't want to let all that lemon get on your teeth, but because it could destroy your teeth from inside out. After you consume the lemon water, it helps to stimulate your bowels as well, that lemon. It gives you great vitamin C to help to boost your immune system, which is what we need right now. And it's one way that can help to reduce inflammation in the body, reducing arthritic pains in the joints. Yes, lemon is excellent for that as well. So lemon having those healing properties when consumed with water. And again, in the daytime, as you drink your water, in between your meals, you drink it mouthfuls at a time, like about 2 mouthfuls every 10 minutes in between your meal time. Again, 2 hours after you have stopped eating is when you can have water. And finally, one of the factors for giving us good, better health outcomes and changing up our lives is to reduce stress from our lives, to actually put more dependence, more trust in our Creator, who has placed us on this planet Earth and promises to take good care of us. So do not worry, do not fret, and do not complain. When we do these things, we tend to show that we do not trust God with our lives, and we do not trust Him with our circumstances and situations that come before Him, when we complain, when we murmur, when we fret. So let that not be part of our character. Rather, instead, be forgiving of others. Even if they don't ask you for forgiveness, you forgive, you help, you reach out, you be the one to reach out to them with a smile. And also stop holding on to the past and move forward. There are a number of people who have issues in their past life, but they are not letting it go. That is holding you captive and influences us very much in our health. There's so many people, if they would only forgive, if they would only let go of the past and move on without holding on to those grudges, they will feel better. They're like a load off their shoulders. They will be less depressed, less anxious. They will find that their heart is beating better. It's not flittering flutter, and they will do phenomenally well. So if you have all of these lifestyle practices and the diet, which we will talk a little bit more on, but if you put those into practice, and we've given you there such like a little checklist, we have seen again and again and again where it does not matter the name of the condition, it all stems from the same foundation. So by making change to this foundation, your immunity is going to be boosted up. making change to this foundation for the better. Your, the health issues that you have been on medication for quite a long time, it's going to be changed. Let me give you one story. There was this lady for 28 years. She had high blood pressure for 28 years. And when she came to us for consult, and we talked about water, she said, on a good day, I will have only 8 glasses of water. That's on a, 8 ounces of water. That's on a good day. 8 ounces, 1 glass on a good day. She did not drink water. And so we encouraged her to do so. Before the week ended, she put into practice what we asked her to do. And before the week ended, her blood pressure was normal. It happens over and over. I've seen a gentleman that we talked to, say on a Tuesday. So the Wednesday is when he started to make changes. Well, a little bit, say by the Sunday, as he made the connection with us for the appointment on the Sunday, and he felt impressed. God did not want him to eat flesh, chicken, fish, and so forth. He stopped from the Sunday, not eating any chicken that his wife had prepared. He said, honey, I'm not eating that. And then by the time we met on the Tuesday, he accepted the changes that were recommended. And for the Wednesday, he started to put into practice, getting his sunlight, getting his walk, and everything. And he had high blood pressure for 18 years, running 165 over 130 for 18 years. By the time he met with his physician on the Saturday, his blood pressure was normalized. Similarly, too, for this lady, as she drank the water, for 28 years, her blood was so thick, not drinking enough water. By the time the Friday, her blood pressure was normalized. So these things, and it's a change. It is not just, I try this and I see how well it works, good, then we go back. No, we are not supposed to be living with disease because it shortens our lives. It makes us feel the aches and the pains and very disrupted by so many things. So we want to make the changes for life. So let's instead seek to uphold the foundation that would give health. So here's what I want you to take away. Whatever you eat, whatever you drink, or whatever you do, let it be done so as to promote a healthy lifestyle. And if we do that, we would find ourselves in a better place at the end of the day. Okay, thanks. So I invite you now for questions. And if you have any questions, we can take. Okay, I see a few here. So alkaline water is water that has a pH. So that's a question. What is alkaline water? It's water that has a pH of above 7. So you can just look at the bottle in the ingredients section and you would see it has, or sometimes it's marked to the front, pH like over 7, more into 8 or 9. And so the pH is high. It's really harsh to the human body. Yeah, if your water, even if you boil your water, it may just get rid of some impurities in it, but it does not make it less alkaline. You would need like a water softener to change up your municipal water or an alkaline water. You need a water softener to bring that down. Yeah. Alkaline water also has minerals in it, which is what is causing the pH to be up. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Camille, for answering. All right, do we have any other questions? Hand raised. I see a hand. Lauren, do you mean to ask a question? I guess you can unmute.
Yeah, quick question. I thought I saw on one of your slides that said supplementation of vitamin D can reduce the efficiency of a vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right? Is that what you said?
Yes, yeah. So that was a research where they were on why is because when they injected individuals, say with weak or mild, a weak virus or, a semi-low virus, and they injected them with it, it's supposed to get into the cells and help the body to be able to make antibodies. But what was happening is that it was with a high vitamin D level in the blood, it was preventing that entry into the cells. So yeah, that was a research that was done, not for COVID, it was before time for other viruses.
So am I then correct in assuming then, if anyone has taken this vaccine, and I'm talking the COVID vaccine, now you know where I'm going, if anyone has taken this vaccine, should they be reducing their vitamin D levels or what? Or have I got wrong completely? I mean, bearing in mind this is what you suggested.
So what we see, it's working really great for when we contract the virus, say from human to human transmission, it's not getting into the cells. So it's not, the virus itself is not getting in. Here you have an injection. So having adequate stores of vitamin D is still important, but we're also finding too that vitamin C introduction into the system in high amounts is going to help to sort of neutralize those spike protein impact. And that is also what we want to manage, that we don't possess, hold, and retain spike proteins because it's foreign to the system and if it gets up to a stage where we have too much of it, then we have a severe issue, a severe condition of the symptoms that we're facing. So the vitamin D, we'd still say optimize your vitamin D now, and you need to have this in your blood. Zinc also does the same thing with preventing the replication, as well as the cellular entry. So those are two elements that we have seen from research studies that would show and the outcomes testify for themselves. Yeah.
Right.
But we have the vaccine discussion coming up where we'd look at it into some more details.
Yeah, I guess because it had that link to a vaccine, whether it's a COVID vaccine or not, it just seems to indicate that the vitamin D, maybe on its own without a vaccine has more power than, or the vitamin D, taking the vitamin D when you've got a vaccine seems to compromise the vaccine. So I'm sure I'll be able to ask a few more on that issue, but that it does seem a bit worrying.
Yeah. Right, and we'll share a plan with you. Mark and Kelly, go ahead.
Good evening.
Hi.
Good evening. Hi. Thank you for the talk tonight. Yeah, just a question. I was going to ask, could you suggest the best way to drink water? Like what is the best way of making, drinking water? A water filter or?
Oh yes, certainly. Filter the water. If you have a carbon filter, that's also good. So you will, early morning, think about hydrate, early morning hydration. It's like having an internal shower. You can literally prep your glasses of water the night before so that you ensure you have at least 3 to 4 glasses of water in the morning, preferably that they should be warm as you intake them, and you drink that as a bolus. Then during the day, you drink your water mouthfuls at a time. So when you drink your water mouthfuls at a time during the day, in between your meals, your cells will absorb that water. As compared to in the morning, it's more about flushing, cleansing your blood, your tissues, and so forth. And if you have lemon in there, it's also a great way to cleanse the liver. And, it's on your lymphatic system with the warmth. But in the midst of the day, and you can drink, in between your meals, the mouthfuls, 2 mouthfuls at a time. You don't want to flood the cells, because as you flood the cells, you run to the bathroom quickly. But if you had the 2 mouthfuls, your cells would absorb and you're good.
Okay, just so as a woman, is it like 2 points, say for a woman and a man, 2 pints of water a day? 2
Yeah,
2 liters.
yeah, that may be sufficient or not, depending on the activity. So if it is that you're in the sun doing a lot of hard work, or you have a heat wave going on, then and you're outdoors, your demand for water is going to be greater. So again, that's why we utilize the urine, the output, as an indicator to let us know, by and large, how we're doing with our water intake, that it's more of a pale yellow color, unless you're using a multivitamin that has B vitamins in it, which or some other compounds that tends to discolor the urine. But essentially, if you do get that input in the morning, and at least that 1 liter, then you, in between your day, you can intake another, and that's good.
Okay, sorry, I know we're running out of time. Just one last thing. Boiled water, is that good? Would you suggest? It's the pH. Is that the pH in boiled water? Is that the best one to drink?
So you would need to test your water to see what your pH is at.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, some people in the countryside might have access to water with less of a pH. They may be able to catch rainwater, which is the best one, the rainwater. So what we're looking for is a pH in our water that is less than 7, closer to 6, closer to what rainwater is like. It's more ideal. It's softer really on our body tissues, on our blood vessels, our skin, our hair, everything on the bowels. You find the higher the pH is, it constipates.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah. Right, so I guess
there's just one question in the chat, Doc. It says, what levels should the vitamin D be? What level should they be at again, please?
All right, so if you know that you are chronically vitamin D deficient, or whatever your level is at, which is always good to get a test. And in the UK, it's not difficult to get tested for vitamin D. So do have a visit, try to get a test done to see where your level is at, and that is going to help you to find a better gauge to mark and to be able to work your way up. If you're chronically deficient, you're looking for vitamin D3 as a supplement to take. It could be anywhere from, say, 5,000 international units. If you're chronically deficient, you can take 10,000 international units for the next 8 months. Then you take a break for about 3 months. Then you can go get tested to see where your level is at. Again, if you do know your level, that's excellent, and you can then work your way up to see that come up. During the summer months, do take advantage of that sunlight. The more time you spend out in the sun, you're automatically going to make it. Remember, more into the mid portion of the day, between, say, 9 and 3, between 10 and 2, you want that sunlight to be way up ahead and high enough to help you to make it, to be able to make vitamin D. But the D3 is what works faster in the system. Some physicians may recommend a prescription for you, so you can work along with them. Again, in such cases, they will be testing you to see that move. But if that is taking too long to move, have a discussion with them to get the D3, because most times what they're suggesting might be a D2 classification, and that takes a longer time to be absorbed in the system.
Thanks, Doc. There was one other question, actually. I think it was earlier on in the chat. Can you give an example of a water softener?
you would need to research and to find out where in the world you're at and what will be. So you have some water softeners with a saline salt background, and so it varies. You can search it up though online. I don't recall the exact brand, but some months ago I actually just simply searched up one, and you can find a company that provides water softeners, and then you let them know what your goal is, and they'll try to match that with the product that they have. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Doc. It's been a fascinating start to our series. I want to thank you for your time. We look forward to hearing you tomorrow. So I just want to remind everyone that we're back again tomorrow, 7 p.m. British Standard Time. I'm not sure where everyone is listening from, so you're going to have to work it out wherever you are, but we are back tomorrow, and we continue every single day until Thursday this week. So again, thanks a lot, Doc, and we look forward to hearing Brother Luke at some point in the week. For everyone else, thank you so much for attending. Have a great evening, have a great day tomorrow, and we look forward to seeing you at 7 p.m. tomorrow evening. Take care and God bless.